Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
An update on the search for suspects involved in the Boston Marathon bombing after federal officials held a press conference earlier today.
Plus, after a major setback for gun control advocates yesterday, we'll tell you about efforts in Phoenix to keep these dangerous weapons off the streets.
Find out how these wild Mustangs are helping U.S. Border Patrol agents secure the border.
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good afternoon and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Minerva Relis.
And I'm Lauren Kiger. Thanks for watching.
The U.S. Senate voted yesterday against a proposal which would have expanded background checks for gun purchases. Today, those hoping for tighter restrictions say they will continue pushing for change.
Gabby and me and this organization, Americans for Responsible Solutions, we are not deterred by the actions of a small group of senators who I really feel that history will judge as fearful obstructionists.
Mark Kelly, the co-founder of Americans for Responsible Solutions, along with his wife Gabby Giffords, said today that they took good note of which senators voted no on the measure, including Arizona Senator Jeff Flake. He said their organization will spend money to elect candidates willing to support expanded background checks. Kelly also said they will buy airtime in the near future to commend Arizona Senator John McCain for his support of the measure.
And today here in Arizona, many people are questioning a new bill sitting on the governor's desk, a controversial law involving gun buybacks. Cronkite News reporter Alice Klein-Peter has been following this story and joins us live with the details. Alice?
We've seen plenty of gun buyback programs since the Newtown, Connecticut shooting. It's an effort by some to get guns off the streets and destroy them. But now Arizona lawmakers have passed a bill that could see these guns that have been turned into police back on the streets. You've probably passed this sculpture along Central Avenue in downtown Phoenix. Look closely. It's constructed of melted down weapons meant to symbolize the danger of guns in our society. Robert Miley is the artist.
I saw a cover of the Arizona Republic with the mayor at the time, Skip Rimza, standing next to trash cans full of weapons. And I thought something needs to be done.
Now, years later, current Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton is facing a new challenge as he tries to get guns off city streets.
This should not be a situation where the state dictates to local government. This should be a local decision.
He's talking about a bill sitting on Governor Brewer's desk, which would instruct cities to sell guns collected in a publicly funded buyback program, rather than destroy them. Meanwhile, the Arizona State Rifle and Pistol Association supports the bill for several reasons, in part because it would allow ample time for the collection agency or organization to contact the rightful owners before disposing of the firearms. But for the artist who dedicated his efforts to combating danger in society, selling the collected weapons makes little sense.
I think we need to turn to our youth or realize the things we pass now, whatever they are, they're going to affect generations to come and the quality of their life.
Mayor Stanton says if signed, the bill would not affect his buyback program because the money goes to a private nonprofit. I'm live in downtown Phoenix. Alice Klein-Peter, Cronkite News.
The FBI has officially released photos of the two believed suspects involved in the Boston Marathon bombings. At a news briefing Thursday afternoon, federal officials released photos and video of two men they called suspects and pleaded for public help in identifying them. The two men were photographed walking together near the finish line of the marathon before the explosions that killed 3 people and wounded about 180. One of the two men was seen setting down a backpack at the site of the second explosion.
We consider them to be armed and extremely dangerous. No one should approach them. No one should attempt to apprehend them except law enforcement.
The FBI is urging the public to call with any tips on these suspects, no matter how small the detail may seem. Online tips can be sent anonymously through FBI.gov. The victims of Monday's bombing at the Boston Marathon are being remembered at a memorial service today. Nearly 2,000 people attended the interfaith service, which took place at Boston's Cathedral of the Holy Cross. President Obama was at the service and shared words of hope for the healing community.
As you begin this long journey of recovery, your city is with you, your Commonwealth is with you, your country is with you. We will all be with you as you learn to stand and walk and, yes, run again. Of that, I have no doubt you will run again.
An explosion at a fertilizer plant in the town of West Texas has left at least 15 dead and more than 150 injured. 2 paramedics are among those killed in the blast. The explosion came after a fire at the plant and destroyed several buildings in the surrounding area. This has left many people homeless and forced into shelters. Search and rescue is underway today as officials try to survey the extent of the damage. An arrest has been made in connection with suspicious letters containing ricin addressed to the White House, a Mississippi senator, and another Mississippi official. 45-year-old Paul Kevin Curtis is being charged with threatening the president and officials, and if convicted, could spend up to 15 years in prison. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office will leave all their incoming mail unopened until further notice, according to a department official. This extra precaution is due to the fact that Sheriff Arpaio was the targeted recipient of an explosive device last week.
America's toughest sheriff has long been a supporter of tough immigration laws, but the new immigration proposal could push policy in a different direction. Reporter Jessica Goldberg was at the Capitol today when the senator finally released details of the plan that could create a pathway to citizenship.
Yeah, good evening. The bipartisan group of 8 senators has been working for months trying to craft this immigration reform bill. 2 of the senators are Arizona Senator John McCain and Jeff Flake. Now, the senators think they've finally created a bill that has some middle ground that's going to get past some of those roadblocks that they've had in the past.
No one will like every provision in the bill. Neither should anyone oppose every provision. The legislation we're offering is comprehensive and workable solution.
The 8 senators who started working together on a bill in January officially filed an 800-page bill that lays out a new plan to fix what they call a broken immigration system.
We have tried to make it easier to work here legally and harder to do so illegally.
The 4 major pillars of the bill are border security, a pathway to citizenship, enforcement of the laws already in place, and visa programs. Under border security, the bill calls for as much as $6.5 billion over the next 10 years to increase surveillance through technology and personnel and extend the border fence. The pathway to citizenship for the 11 million already here illegally is contingent on fixing the border security first. The path would require those who are already here to come forward, pass a background check, pay taxes, and pay a fine. After that, they would be granted a provisional immigration status, and after 10 years, they could apply for a permanent residency. The bill would also increase enforcement on immigration laws already in place by phasing in an electronic verification system, E-Verify, that will require all employers to check the legal status of their potential employees. Finally, the bill sets up a plan to reform visa programs by creating new guest worker programs for low-skilled workers, increasing the number of high-skilled visas, and establishing a new visa for foreign entrepreneurs.
Tomorrow, the bill will be heard in the Judiciary Committee, and the Gang of 8 is hopeful that the bill will be heard on the Senate floor for a vote by the end of May or early June. Live in Washington, D.C., Jessica Goldberg, Cronkite News.
And those closely watching the immigration debate are those who live and work along the Arizona-Mexico border. Reporter Lauren Tropea traveled south to see how some border agents are choosing horseback over high tech.
I traveled to an area near the border just outside of Tucson called 3 Points, which is very rugged and mountainous, making patrolling this region more difficult for people, but not for these agents.
Meet Roper, a special wild Mustang who wears a purple rope and is different from most horses.
He's 3 years old. It's the youngest horse we have in Nogales.
Roper may be the youngest, but agents say he is also the smartest and friendliest. He's part of a group of wild Mustangs who have been helping to protect the border for the past few years.
Captain!
Border agent Stephanie Dixon, who's assigned to Roper, is one of the 106 agents who has traded in advanced technology for an Old West approach.
An interesting thing about Mustangs is that you have to really gain their trust and vice versa for it to work well.
Walking through the deep trenches and rocky terrain in the Arizona desert is quite a struggle, but Horse Patrol Coordinator Bobby Shad says these Mustangs have no trouble at all and can easily help agents spot a drug smuggler from far away.
They're obviously much faster than walking on foot, We travel about 2 to 3 times the same speed. And stealth, basically. You know, they're a lot quieter. People don't always expect, you know, horses to be out here, or they think initially it might just be ranchers.
The horses are so helpful that many agents don't see themselves protecting the border any other way. The Tucson sector is made up of 8 stations, and today you can find Mustangs at each one.
A lot of them have definitely seen the benefits of using the Mustangs and bringing them in. A lot of them now, you know, are pretty much set that that's all that they'll use out in the field.
As for Roper, he's trying to become one of the best Border Patrol horses out there.
Mustangs are also helping border agents in 8 other sectors throughout the Southwest, including San Diego and El Paso. I'm Lauren Tropea, Cronkite News.
Coming up on Newswatch.
Thousands of workers in Arizona are struggling with the minimum wage. Find out what our leaders in Washington are doing to change this.
The burden of student loans could get a lot heavier. We'll tell you why and what this could mean for students and the state.
How do we educate in a rapidly changing world?
How can we create a sustainable way of life?
How can we teach peace?
Arizona State University. Rise to the challenges before us.
Do you love taking pictures? Now you can share them with everyone. Join 8's online photo community that's all about you. Visit azpbs.org/capture for rules and information and start submitting today. When you want to be more connected, friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Watch us online.
Arizona's unemployment rates have remained at 7.9% for the month of March. This is a decrease from 1 year ago, but Arizona's rate is still slightly higher than the national rate of 7.6%. According to a Department of Administration report, the private sector added almost 18,000 jobs last month, while the government lost 1,300 jobs. And for those with jobs, surviving on low-income wages can be just as much of a struggle. Cronkite News reporter Zach Happenstall joins us live in the broadcast center with more. Zach?
The acting Secretary of Labor stopped in Phoenix today to meet with low-wage workers and advocates of President Obama's proposal to raise the minimum wage.
People who are receiving minimum wage, they're not lazy, they're not wanting to live off the government.
Will I have enough gas to get to my interview, or will my kids go hungry that day?
It's the tough reality of these workers' lives, shared in a roundtable discussion with Acting Secretary of Labor Seth D. Harris. He was here to advocate President Obama's proposal to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $9 an hour.
What these workers here in Phoenix and workers I've met all around the country are able to do is to explain why that makes a difference in their lives, why it's an important thing to do.
It's important for people like Esmeralda Alejandre, who simply can't support her family working full-time for only $8 an hour.
Struggling, like hoping to go ahead and be walking down to the interview, finding something, a penny, dime, anything.
Anita Belcher says she has to take care of her autistic son, and even making minimum wage in a part-time job would mean she'd no longer qualify for government assistance.
And it could be over $10, $100, and then you lose everything because of that. Everyone could be put in the circumstances, everyone. I'm gonna have a college degree, I'm a highly educated woman.
The Labor Secretary plans to make these workers' voices heard in Washington.
I think if members of Congress hear those stories, if the people of the United States hear those stories, that they will push their members in Congress to enact the increase in the minimum wage, and these workers' lives will be a lot better. Our economy will improve.
And the Arizona minimum wage was just increased to $7.80 in January and will be automatically adjusted based on the U.S. Consumer Index, which measures the price level of consumer goods and services in the state. In the newsroom, Zach Happenstall, Cronkite News.
Unless Congress acts, on July 1st, some federally subsidized student loan interest rates are set to double. And one advocacy group says it will mean an additional $1,000 to the average student borrower in Arizona. Reporter Sydney Coates has more on the story. Sydney?
This story will certainly sound familiar to some students because last July Congress was scheduled to double the interest rates on student-subsidized loans. But advocacy groups and both presidential candidates convinced Congress to pass a one-year extension, pushing the deadline back to this July.
If it doubles, I don't know if I'll be able to pay it all back. I'll be a lifetime. I'm already over the age of the average student.
And even though student loan interest rates could double from 3.4 to 6.8%, Sheila Shelton isn't going to let those numbers be the determining factor for her following her dreams.
I have been saying I'm going back to school for over 30 years. Okay, so this was the deciding factor. I need to go back to school. I need to be able to do something to help some children.
The Phoenix College student counts on her federally subsidized Stafford loans to help her reach her aspirations of becoming a special education teacher. But she knows these possible interest rate increases will be tough to pay off.
At this point, I have to do what I need to do.
And that's the outlook many students will need if the interest rates in fact double. Serena Unrin with Arizona PIRG says these possible increases could not only impact students, but Arizona's future as well.
It might mean that a student who is carrying a lot of student debt might choose to not go into a career like teaching or work for a nonprofit because they feel like they just have so much debt that they'll have to take a higher paying job to repay their student loans.
And according to Arizona PIRG, both Republicans in Congress and President Obama have proposed long-term solutions for student loan interest rates. However, with July 1st looming, Washington will need to act fast in order to keep the interest rates from doubling. If the interest rates do kick in, know that it will only affect those who plan on taking out new loans next fall. It will not affect those who currently have subsidized student loans. Reporting live in downtown Phoenix, I'm Sydney Coates, Cronkite News.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
Arizona's national forests are gearing up for camping season. We'll tell you which animal to look out for coming up. I'm out in Tempe where people are getting ready for the 9th annual PATS Run. I'll let you know what the weather will be like for the run and what to expect in your 5-day forecast.
Tell him what's in your heart.
That's all ahead on tonight's News Hour.
Let's go!
This for the world.
The weather is warming, and that means bears are out of hibernation and into the wilderness. Bear attacks in Arizona are rare, with just 10 reported in the last 20 years. But 3 of those attacks happened just last summer. I went to Payson to find out what steps Arizona's wildlife experts are taking to make campsites safer. Northern Arizona is known for its beautiful forest landscape. But when a black bear wreaks havoc on a campsite, a fun day in the woods can turn into a nightmare.
We raised our arms up over our heads and just shouted, "Bear, bear."
Carly Stoltenberg was at Ponderosa Campground when she witnessed one of the 3 attacks that happened in the Payson area last summer.
When the bear came crashing through our friend's tent, they immediately stood up and started waving their blankets and scared the bear away.
And the same bear, a young male, is still on the loose.
If he is still out there, he's likely to return to doing what he knows, which happens to be raiding campgrounds and causing these kind of problems.
A bear looking for a little relief from a severe drought that has been drying up water and food sources for the past 20 years.
When you have less water in the soil, less water in the streams,
the animals, the mammals, they need to go look for that.
Arizona Game and Fish has since beefed up its Be Bear Aware campaign, aimed at educating campers on what they can do to stay safe in the woods. One of the bear attacks happened at this very campground last summer, but since then, Tonto National Forest has installed bear-proof dumpsters and bear-proof food lockers like these. But if a bear does come knocking on your tent, wildlife experts say do not run.
Be very loud, make yourself as tall as you can, yell, bang pots and pans.
And remember, first and foremost, you are in the bear's habitat and not the other way around.
Bears are natural in the forest, and as humans, we're in their environment. So we just need to take the proper precautions, and there shouldn't be any problems.
All of the experts I spoke with stress that bears have an incredible sense of smell, and the best way to prevent attacks is to keep all food away from your tent and keep your campsite and yourself free of smelling like food.
Lots of sunshine here at Tempe Town Lake, a spot runners will pass this Saturday for Pat's Run. While it's cooler than normal temperatures today, things will heat back up into the weekend, but it won't be too hot for the runners. The 4.2-mile run starts at 7:05 in the morning. There's also a kids run that starts at 9:45. If you are participating in the race or planning on spending your Saturday outdoors in Tempe, here's a look at your day planner. We'll start off cool in the morning, so maybe bring a light jacket. But by the afternoon, it will heat up with plenty of sunshine, so if you're sticking around after the race, you might want to have some sunscreen handy. And while we're having lovely weather, other parts of the country are not as lucky. You can see the storm systems that are bringing snow to the Midwest, Plains, and Great Lakes areas. In the south, there's severe thunderstorms and a possibility of isolated tornadoes. But for us in Arizona, just sunny skies. For today, most of the state is experiencing below normal temperatures for this time of year, but there will be a warming trend starting on Friday. Here's a look at the current temperature for Phoenix. Cooler than normal, but still plenty of sunshine. But as we move into Friday, things will start to heat up, and by the weekend, we'll have above normal temperatures. Lots of sunshine in your 5-day forecast. If you haven't signed up for Pat's Run yet, you have until Friday, but spots are limited. So if you're looking to get some exercise, support a good cause, and enjoy the outdoors this weekend, you better hurry up before spots run out. In Tempe, Kelsey Wasong, Cronkite Weather.
An emotional night in Boston as the Bruins took to the ice in the first major sporting event since the marathon bombings on Monday, and fans came out in full force. In the second period, Chris Kelly from Daniel Paillet with the nice wrister knocks it in. Boston leads 2-1. Under 30 to play, Thomas Vanek with the cross. Cody Hodgson is there. He gets a little piece of it for the goal, and this game would go to a shootout. And Buffalo's Drew Stafford finds the corner to seal the win, but tonight both teams felt like winners. The final game of the series between the D-backs and the Yankees just got underway, and the guys in the Sedona Red are ready to redeem themselves. Last night, bottom of the seventh, bases loaded for New York. Brett Gardner belts one to left field. 2-run score. We're all tied at 3. Next inning, pinch hitter Travis Hafner off David Hernandez. See ya, and that solo shot puts the Yanks up 1. Gerardo Parro gives the D-backs one last chance in the ninth, but it's an easy out to second, and the D-backs lose this one 3-4. All good things come to an end, but for the 25-win Phoenix Suns, the final game of the season couldn't come soon enough. Last night in Denver, it was Dunk City for the Nuggets. They had open lanes all night long. Andre Iguodala finished with 21 points, and Wilson Chandler added 20 of his own. The Suns had no response for this high-flying offense. They were outscored by 40 points in the paint. Phoenix finishes with the second worst record in franchise history. As for the rest of the league, postseason tips off Saturday. Extreme sports teams are not as common at the collegiate level, but Cronkite sports reporter Kirsten Susell shows us one team that's making a splash for themselves. Kirsten?
That's right, Kim. I had the exciting opportunity to spend a day out on the lake with these extreme athletes to get a feel for what this sport is all about. On a typical Saturday morning, most college students are asleep, but Ryan Platt is loading the boat, strapping up and hopping into the water.
Everyone knows me. They go, Ryan, Wake Devils, like it's the same thing.
As a kid, Ryan was always in the water, and his favorite activity, wakeboarding. So when he enrolled at ASU, he was disappointed to hear there wasn't a competitive team.
Why not? Let's start a wakeboard team.
So in the fall of 2010, the Wake Devils were born. While the numbers were small at first, it didn't take long for that to change.
We experienced a ton of growth in the second year. We expanded to, I believe it was 25 people, and now we're at 35 people this year.
And with more people has come more talent. Last year, they won Collegiate Wakeboard Team of the Year and currently rank first in the Empire Collegiate Wake Series.
The level that we ride on and the opportunities here at Arizona State, I think, are very unique. There's not quite another team who have the same team chemistry and availability to go on a boat and ride.
Everyone on the team is like, I feel like my brothers and sisters. It's just like a really strong sense of like team unity.
A sense of unity the Wake Devils hope will continue, which means somebody new will have to step up.
I need to practice and see how everything's going down, but I would love to take the team and take it into the next couple of years.
But for now, the Wake Devils have started something they don't ever see going away. The Wake Devils are heading to Las Vegas this weekend to compete in the Collegiate Wakeboard Nationals, a competition they placed second in last year, so they're definitely looking to catch that #1 spot this time.
Well, that looks pretty intense. I don't know if I'd be able to handle that one.
Do you see how high they were flying? I'd be so scared of injury.
I know, and I'm not a big water person, so I would freak out on that.
And my coordination just would not work. I'm just going to stick to the desk from now on.
Good idea. Well, that's it for Cronkite NewsWatch tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.